Where's Trump?
Hey, stop!
Okay. Hi guys.
Hi.
This is like what, panel 3 for GamerX? So I'd like to say that was first panel. Let's just pretend. My name is Ryan Bates. I am one of the staff writers at GotGame.com. I am also technically the director of information. So when you see me harassing people on GamerConnect, that's me. And I was not on stage at the opening ceremonies because I was out too late last night. So that's why you're like, he's saying he's on GamerX. Well, I am. Okay. So Know Your Roots is all about some of the characters that we've seen in retro gaming and how we can make a gay gamer or a gay game protagonist out of that. Because we've started to see some progress toward it. We've seen gay characters in games. If you were at the EA panel, they were talking about Bill in The Last of Us. How many of you played that? Yes. Smattering of hands. Okay. So, you know, there's that. They've got the people in Mass Effect. So we are starting to make progress. There are indie games out there as well that are starting to make progress in this area, but we don't have a gay hero yet. We have the option to make heroes gay, which is fantastic. But we don't have a gay hero yet. And that's one of the things I want to address here is what we can do to make that different, okay? So you saw the video, you saw all those people, and instantly one of the things that you saw and all that was, I recognize that person. I know who that blue thing running around is. I know who Samus Aran is. I know who, I think Cool Spot's in that one or the next one. And if you know who Cool Spot is, that's fantastic. But we're a room full of gamers. So, I mean, when we talk about people like Bomberman, when we talk about King DDD, Master Chief, we all know who we're talking about, right? We kind of got the idea of who these people are, even if we haven't played the game, we recognize them. You know, and we are kind of a little more hardcore gamers, so we see people like Solid's Chair, Sly Cooper, and Cave Johnson. We know who those people are too. We've kind of got an idea of who's going on, right? You know, Cave Johnson, if life throws you lemonades, throw lemons back. So we know what's going on there. And like I said, we are a little more hardcore, so I mean, when we bring up people like, hello animation, please go. Oh, technical difficulty. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we got people like Dick Gumshoe. We know who he's from because we've kind of been familiarized with that too. Kate Archer, which is one of the most underrepresented heroines of gaming right now from the No One Lives Forever series. And of course, Dead Cousin Ted, which I actually think I'm the only person who knows that, so let's take it off. So, Maniac Mansion fans, talk to me later. But all these people we recognize as gamers, but there's something different about people like these people and Mario and Sonic and Link. These are people that everyone recognizes. They're kind of the pop icons. These are the people who get turned into cartoons, they get turned into songs, and they get turned into sugary kid cereals, and of course, my favorite, terrible live-action movies. John Leguizamo, I'm sorry. So these are the icons. These are the people that people are like, okay, I haven't ever played a video game in my whole entire life, but I know who Mario and Luigi are. I don't know who that chick is in front. Apparently it was Peach, but whatever. Or Daisy. It's Daisy, right? Oh, terrible. And I like sugary kid cereals. So, you know, these are the people that people identify with, even if they've never played a game before in their entire life. These are what we call icons, okay? Not like the little things you click on the desktop, that's different. An icon really, in this sense, is something that is regarded as a symbol of a belief, community, cultural movement, or anything like that. And it's pretty safe to say that gaming is a cultural movement at this point, right? We've pretty much established that. And gaming, of course, with the Y, is becoming more of a cultural movement as well. So it's something that we can say, this people represent us. Specifically in this case, I'm using it as a term like Mario is an icon, like Link is an icon. These are people who represent what we do. And these are the people that, if nobody knows anyone else in gaming, we're still kind of safe, okay? Because Mario, Link, Sonic, kind of all along the same lines, everybody gets it. So what can we do to make one of these people gay? Now, I'm not recommending that we make Mario gay. He's already straight. He's in love with the princess, allegedly. And I'm not going to have that whole Mario and Luigi thing going on. That's just wrong. And, you know, so I'm not talking about taking someone else and revamping them and rebooting them as someone who's gay. I'm talking about let's get our own icon for the gaming industry. So, and it can happen. We're moving in the right direction. It's just not going quickly. So, let's start with who's already out there. Who are some, I'm going to throw this out to you guys, who are some of video gaming's LGBT people or characters that are out there?
Bridget.
Bridget?
Guilty Gear.
From Guilty Gear, okay.
Birdo.
Birdo. I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about that in a second. Anyone else?
Soren, Fire Emblem.
Soren from Fire Emblem. Okay, so we've started to get like a little bit out there. Now, think of all the LGBT characters that you could think of. All 7 of them. And how many of them would you actually identify as what we've described as an icon?
0.
No one! Because what happens is they get retconned. Okay, so Birdo is a boy that thinks he's a girl that, you know, likes to wear shiny objects and wants to be called Birdetta, right? That's what the manual said. And if you look at anything referencing Birdo today, Birdo's a girl. Excuse me, like, it wasn't that way in the 80s, but it is now because people are afraid of it, so. There are really no LGBT icons at this point, but there are LGBT icons out there. Now let's talk about TV and movies. How many icons can you think of? There's a few more than gaming.
Yeah.
Will and Grace.
Will and Grace? Oh, who said that? Are you specifically referring to Will or Grace? Will Trudel is one of them. Okay. Who else we got out there? RuPaul, Drag Race, fantastic. Pandora Box that one.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris. But Neil Patrick Harris, let's talk about that really fast. His characters, are they gay? No. Fantastic. I love the NPH, and I would love to make him my boyfriend. But unfortunately, I'm not including that. I'm talking about people like Jack. Just Jack. Just Jack. It's an icon.
Mitch and Cam.
I'm sorry?
Mitch and Cam from Modern Family.
Yes. Although I don't watch that show, I totally know who you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about, icons. So even if we don't watch the show, we recognize those people, okay? So I'm talking about people like, you know, Jack McFarlane, Mitch Kell, Ellen, when she came out, that was a big thing on her show. I'm talking about who watched Philadelphia, the Andrew Beckett story, okay? So these are the people that when people see LGBT characters, they recognize them. And they're saying, okay, even though I don't really know, or I don't watch the show, or I don't identify, I understand these people, and I understand what they're going through because I connect with them. You know, we all have that goofy friend that's like just Jack, okay? And we all do, don't admit it, or don't try to deny it, we all do. And Ellen, you know, she got into mundane things that were everyday and inconsequential, you know? And we do that as well, usually. And we all, you know, we kind of identify, we may not have gone through Andrew Beckett's story, but tell me this, would it have been just as important of a story had he not been gay? Yes, it would have. I'm going with yes because we all know that AIDS and HIV is not a gay problem. It is a human problem. It's going on right now. It is an epidemic. So we still identify with that. Even if we stripped away his sexuality, he's still kind of an icon to us. So we need to replicate that. Well, not necessarily that, because who replicates Ellen, really? Into video gaming. And so that's kind of what I'm getting at. We need to look at the characters that we have come up with so that way we can parallel that into a new character. So here's my perfect example of not being an icon versus being an icon. Hi. My favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy VI.
Yay!
Biggest cast of characters, playable characters inside a Final Fantasy game. I think it was like 12, 14 if you found the other two, which really, who uses Zamaro, really? But think about that. Think about all your characters in Final Fantasy VI. Think about who you would see as an icon. And out of the 14 playable characters, how many are really iconic?
7. Maybe 4 or 5.
I bet I have the answer loaded up.
Terra, Locke, 7, Celis.
That's right, 0.
Oh.
There is not an iconic character. Final Fantasy VI is an iconic game. It is fantastic. It is regarded highly by RPG players as well as video gamers around the world. But out of this cast of characters right here, there is not really an iconic character. Here's why. You have, in Final Fantasy VI, some of the archetypes that were introduced, not only in Final Fantasy, but also in gaming. You have, for example, the girl trying to find herself. You know, you have the rebel hero, the mercenary, the mystical girl, the reckless... I'm just going to shout at this point, don't worry about it. I hate microphones anyway, I feel trapped. So you have the archetypes that are listed here, you know, and those reoccur through the Final Fantasies, right? You have the confused girl trying to find herself, that's Dagger in Final Fantasy IX. You have the reckless adventurer, Zidane, and pretty much every hero thereafter. You have the mercenary, Square Enix. You have these archetypes that return throughout not only Final Fantasy, but other RPGs as well. These archetypes return. But everybody has their favorite. I personally like Setzer, because I too am a reckless adventurer. because I stayed out all late last night. Some people identify with Locke. He's kind of the rebel who's trying to make a difference, who's trying to make a change. Some people identify with Celes because she's the one who has that heart of stone that gets melted and they swoon for Locke and throws herself off a cliff at some point. You have people who are identified with Sabin, who is the kind of the tough guy, the macho guy. But we all have someone we connect with, but other people might not connect with that same person. For example, I couldn't give a crap less about Gal. Screw Gal. Really? I don't care. But other people might think that it's his favorite character. It's not widely appreciated as that icon. So while this is a fantastic example of an iconic game that changes gaming, this is not a fantastic example of icons. So that's specifically what we're getting down to. Great characters and how we can translate that over. And there are actually 2 characters in Final Fantasy that come close to being iconic, because as soon as I flip this slide, you're going to recognize them right away. As soon as I flip the slide, you're going to recognize them right away. There you go.
Oh, and 6.
Mog and Kefka. Mog is iconic because he's adorable and we all love adorable things.
Yeah.
Kefka is iconic because he's a psychotic fuckhead. And we're all terrified of clowns. So, but these are people that any gamer can look at and say, oh, I know Mog, he's in the Final Fantasy series. I totally get it, I know where he's at, and he's been recurring throughout. He was in Final Fantasy, whatever number. That's because he's in all of them. Or at least Moogles are, right? We have the race of Moogles. You have Kefka, who is a psychotic fuckhead, and he never shows up in any other game other than Dissidia, I think. But everybody can look at him and go, wow, that's Kefka, I know him. I've seen him on villains list, I've seen him on great characters list. I know who that is, and clowns are scary, and identify with that. So, but if you ask a gamer about these people, do they have any idea who they are? Nope. They see an adorable thing and a psychotic fuckhead. So, I swear a lot. I'm sorry. This is being taped. Can you like bleep that out? Is that fantastic? Don't bleep it out. Because I like saying fuck. So, I'm sorry. I'm going through my notes because I'm terrified right now. So anyway, we have, with Mog and Kefka, ideas of what could be iconic if it were like one step further. So I want to talk about some iconic characters that are in games today. And I'll start with the most recent one, in my opinion, of course. You might think differently, and I'd love to hear your opinions later. But I'm going to start with Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake is one of the closest things you can get to icon right now. Because people see this guy and they think, oh, he's an action game character. But specifically, they think a little bit more. Nathan Drake from Uncharted has 0 interest. He really does. He's not a superhero. He's not a marksman. He's not a magician. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have anything like that. He's just a person, okay? Which is fantastic, because I also am a person, okay? Far be it for me to judge. But I think you all are persons too. If you're wrong on that, I don't know, I haven't met all of you. But no, he has that identifiability. This is someone we can connect with. This is just a guy. I'm just a guy, you know? This is just a human being. I'm a human being, allegedly. Come on, go away, Zero. There we go. So he's not like a superhero. We're not talking Superman. We're not talking the Flash. He doesn't have super speed. He's not a marksman. He doesn't wield a giant sword, not that I've known anywhere. He is just an average person, and that allows for imprintability. That imprintability is when people take a look at that guy and go, I identify with him. I have things that make me like Nathan Drake. For example, I stumble when I run, and that is true. So Nathan Drake is just a person. He stumbles when he runs. He gets frustrated. I know, it's really small. I'm sorry, I can't get it any bigger. Y'all are with me there, thank you. He stumbles when he runs. He gets frustrated. Have you been playing the game, and how many times does he say, oh crap? That's like let's catch, oh crap, right? He says what we would be thinking if we were in that position. So he is saying what's going on in our brains, okay? Which is mildly creepy and yet very fascinating. So and he says things like, oh no, I don't like that noise. I sure wouldn't either, depending on what it is. Unless it was kind of hot guy. And he said things like, yeah, that's my blood. That's a whole lot of my blood. Do you remember that quote? Because at that point we were thinking, oh, we're corrupt, right? You know, we're in trouble. He is, in essence, what we would be doing were we in that same point. And it is very identifiable.
Think it's for you. Can you hear me?
We
Sorry
can
about
rescue
quality.
him, or we beat the crap out of him. Hell, I might just beat the crap out of him anyway. I had everything under control until they blew up the bomb.
Okay, what's going on?
Pirates.
Have you ever done this before?
Of course. You just jump, count to 5, and pull the cord.
Fishy, you wouldn't have.
That's your story, lady. Yeah, don't you guys usually just cut off a finger or something?
Pirates.
Yeah, the modern kind. They don't take prisoners. At least not male prisoners.
Something about this feels kind of hinky.
Hinky.
Nate, be careful.
Come on. I always am. Ah! I did not see that! Yeah, I know who you are, asshole.
Shouldn't we call the authorities or something?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, but we don't exactly have a permit to be here.
What?
Yeah. Keep smiling, asshole. See you soon. Well, now, you told me not to move. Looks like you're gonna have to come get it. Is that it? Is that my deal? Die now, or help you, and die later. Well, that's a tough call, but you know what? I'll take die now. Okay. It's just a jump. Count to 5. Oh, God. How hard can that be? Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Ah, crap. Ah, crap. Ah, shit. Buka Pinto!
Siapa ini? Bicara sekarang.
Ah, crap. Sialando! Cepatan, buka pintu! Ah, tahi! It worked! There he is! Up there! Get on the gun! Oh boy.
I think I saw somewhere on the internet, and of course everything on the internet is true, that what he says in the foreign language is "open up the gate, asshole." So yeah, that'll probably be me at some point. So Nathan Drake kind of has that familiarity to us. How many of you would have done the same thing, or like talk, smarmy or whatever in those situations? I know I would have, because I utilize humor to get through my situations. So a lot of people, were you falling from a plane several thousand feet in the air, might say, "Oh crap." He is, like I said, he's relatable. We get him. We understand. We'd be doing the same thing if we were up there. So, there is another person that I would like to introduce as an icon, not only of gaming, but of the 90s. You might have heard of this one. I started to song. Sorry. I'm sorry. When I was rehearsing this, I thought, yeah, that's a perfect length. And now I'm watching it, I'm like, oh god. So, let's talk about Sonic really fast. First off, how many bazillions of people are there in the Sonic universe now? There's like the Crocodile and Amy and Knuckles and Tails and all the other people I don't care about. Because they've all spun off from Sonic. That's also something that's iconic. Something that provokes something that causes something else, I consider iconic. So, you have Sonic the Hedgehog. You have his 50 million friends now. And really, one of the things about Sonic is that he was not only an icon of video gaming, he was also an icon of the time. He was an icon of the 90s, okay? When we think 90s video games, we think of Sonic. We think about a time when we had the real Power Rangers. We think about a time when cell phones were the size of a brick. And we think about the time that the screeching sound you hear was not Skrillex, okay? It was... that is the 90s in a nutshell, Skrillex and cell phones and Power Rangers. So, he was an icon of the 90s. He represents what we thought, okay? So Sonic was, he was cool. He was the bomb. He was fresh, okay? All those 90s terms that we try not to use anymore, but some of those older people do. He was like 90s cool, and we identified with that. Sonic's cool, I want to be cool, okay? Again, that idea of connection and imprintability is what we're looking at. Sonic was cool, he was fast, he had awesome sneakers, like me. So he was what we wanted to be as a game character. Now, if Sonic was in love with Tail, oh, no, that's creepy, he's 8. If Sonic was in love with Shadow, for example, that would also represent us. Now, he's not really in love with Amy because Amy's a stalker. But okay, thank you for the 4 people who got that joke. So, Sonic is also, oh, by the way, Sonic knows right from wrong. And if you want to know the difference between doing right and knowing right and looking good, James Bond. Okay, that brings up that point, and I almost forgot. Thank you, James Bond. That he had the idea of loyalty, he had the idea of doing what's right, but also looking good doing it, okay? You got people like Mario, who saves a princess, yay, good for him, and he's a little fat Italian plumber, which I identify with, because I'm fat Italian. But Sonic did it with style, he did it with flair. It was cool to do the right thing. It was cool to be loyal, it was cool to be part of your friend base, and that was something that not only resonated with the gamers, but also with the rest of the world, because then we got the Sonic cartoon, we got the Sonic shirt, we got the Sonic hat, we got the Sonic shoes. Are there shoes? There should be shoes. It's Sonic. So it became, like I said, it promoted into that pop culture icon. Sonic also wasn't perfect. That's something that we love as consumers, okay? When we see characters that have a little bit of a flaw, now they're not just some superhero, they're also a little bit human. And I know I talk about Hedgehog, whatever. Sonic was perfect. Especially if you look in some of the spin-off media, in the cartoon and stuff, he was a little bit of a prick. He was a little annoying, okay? He got impatient very easily, obviously, because things have to move really fast. He was a little bit arrogant, you know, he was talking about how good he looks, and even though I was just talking about how good he looks doing right things, but, you know, like, it's funny, because when we say someone looks good, then that's a compliment. When we say we look good, we're being arrogant. So he wasn't perfect, and that's something that was illustrated, like I said, in the spin-off media. This is from the 1990 Saturday morning cartoon. Remember that guy? Who liked him? You know one. That's why he's not in the video games.
Know what your problem is, eh? You gotta learn how to kick back.
What? What are your shoes doing?
Say what?
Get them off! Get them off now!
Ah, my sneaks, man! Understand nothing. Don't ever mess with my sneaks again. Got it?
So the reason I bring that up is because Sonic was more worried about his sneakers than he was his teammate from the Rescue Rangers. I don't know. What were they called? I forget what they were called. Frontier something. Someone said it. Freedom fighters, I don't know. Whatever. But Anton's little French little thing, you know, he was more worried about his sneakers than he was about his teammate. And so every once in a while we get a little bit like that. We're concerned a little more about ourselves than we are others. So we identify with that and say, that's not really good, but I connect with that. I see myself in that. And again, that's what we're shooting for with the icon. Then another that went too fast. Because remember, Sonic wasn't the original icon of Sega. It was Alex Kidd, that guy right there, the thing that looks like a monkey. That was the original icon of Sega. And they were like, not so much, because nobody likes them. So, the reason I bring this up is because to think about a gay icon, to get that gay protagonist out there, we also have to have people to buy into it, okay? So if we have a crappy character who's gay, fantastic, no one's gonna buy the game, nobody cares, okay? So we can't just make them to be gay, okay? We have to make good characters that are gay. And of course, I'm using gay as a generic term, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, all of that. I don't want to feel inclusionary. I want everyone to have a representation in gaming, because this is our medium, okay? So they had Alex Kidd, and he was all like, I do karate moves, and people were like, no one cares, we're playing Mario. And so that's when they decided to make the switch over to Sonic, to kind of represent that 90s kind of cool. So not only does it have to be cool to be iconic, well, not really cool, but it has to connect, okay? And in the 90s, people were connecting with Mario, and Sega came along, and do you remember what the slogan for Genesis was when it first came out? Genesis does?
What Nintendo.
Thank you. People remember it. That means I'm not the oldest person in the room. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. So not only does it have to be an icon, okay, we can say it's an icon, we can get behind it, but the honest fact is we need the corporations to get behind it too. They pumped so much money into Sonic, he was like Donald Trump, okay? There was so much marketing in Sonic. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Sonic's cool, you want to be cool, right? Yeah, exactly, you want to go out and buy a Genesis. I had a Super Nintendo. But the marketing behind Sonic was amazing, which means not only do you have to have someone who is gay, lesbian, transsexual, bigender, bigender. I just made up that word. I'm gonna claim it. You have to have someone that other people say, yeah, this will work. This is a good representation. This makes sense. And at this point, we are getting near that. We are getting closer and closer, especially in the political world, and I'm sorry to bring up politics, but I do. We have, 15 states now that recognize gay marriage? I think it's 15, 16. Okay, we are making progress, okay? So the ball is rolling, but it's rolling a little more slowly, and we need to speed it up in video games, correct? Yes, we need to speed that up. So that's why we're taking a look at some of our favorite characters, including a guy you may have heard of. Oops, went too fast. Check out how long Mario's been around. Play the damn video. Here we go. This is 1981. No, it's not 1985, sorry. I'm This was the Japanese version where they put in like characters from their own shows. How much of an icon are you when people are starting to mod you in 1980 something? That's not Mario. This is where we first met Daisy Lesbian. We're only up to the 90s at this point. This is the scene from The Wizard. This is the first game Mario could fly in, and I wish I had gotten to Snoop Kitchen, but I hated those things. The first ever spin-off, Super Mario Kart, we're up to 1993 or 4 or something like that. This horrible, tragic game. Now we're remaking games. We're up to 95 or 96. We're remaking games at this point.
The hard to get him exactly. Yeah. I know that.
Yeah, let's all come to a conclusion. Baby Mario crying is the most annoying thing in the game. Now we're 3D. We're up to the 64 at this point. Watch out for the train! Ah, suckers! The first Super Smash Brothers. Now he's such an icon, he's spinning off into fighting games.
He's like, killed everything.
Mario Party, the game everyone broke their 964 controllers on.
Mario Party doesn't stop.
Now we're up to Super Mario Sunshine. Mario Golf, for the 3 people that played it. The first Super Mario. One of my favorite games. Super Mario Sliders, for the 7 people that played it. Super Shooters. So now we're getting spin-offs, because Mario is so iconic at this point, we're going to put him in anything we can. I hate this level. I follow him all the time. Mario and Sonic finally got together in 2000 or whatever. I really don't have to take it. Oh, poor Donkey Kong. Mario has been around for 18 million years. Or 85, whatever, I'm bad at math. There we go. So, Mario is iconic. We've proven that just in that video, okay? He's in every single possible genre you can think of. He's in racing, he's in sports, he's in fighting games, he's in platformers, go figure. He's in arcade games, he's in puzzle games. Mario is an icon, and we can't really dispute that fact. But the reason I'm bringing Mario up is because I want to talk about his friends, who are also just as iconic. Now, you got Mario, who's your pudgy Italian plumber, who's brave beyond belief. He was actually going to be named Mr. Video by Miyamoto, and thank God he didn't. Because who wants to follow Mr. Video? You want to follow Mario, okay? He's brave and resolute, but his friends, as I said, are just as important, okay? Because not only is Mario iconic, he's spun off other icons. And that was kind of the point I was talking about with Sonic. He's developed all these other people. Well, we've got Luigi, Toad, and the Princess. Luigi is your cowardly ally who doesn't want to actually get into things, but when he does, he faces his fears and he follows it through. He's the traditional second banana. He's a traditional sidekick. But what that does is when he finally gets his own game, Luigi's Mansion. How many of you played that? Yeah. Fantastic game, loved it. Once he finally gets his own game, we're like, yeah, go Luigi. We almost cheer for him more than we do Mario. Because Mario gets Super Mario everything, and Luigi gets a broken down mansion with a vacuum. So, and he makes a great game out of it. So, due to Mario's iconicity, we now have an icon out of Luigi. We have that person who doesn't really want to get involved with things, but when he does, we're behind him, and we're behind him 110%. Name a starring role with Luigi that you were kind of like, yeah, whatever, Luigi. No, every time he's the main person, we're like, yeah, go Luigi, go you, right? Toad, in all of his adorableness, is the official underdog, okay? So you don't get to play as Toad very often, but when you do, it's kind of like a big deal. Like, oh my god, I can be Toad, this is cool, right? He's the underdog, but he is also super loyal. He is one of the only people that's probably more loyal to the princess than Mario, okay? He is that guy that will stand up for himself even if he's about this big and Bowser's about the size of a pro wrestler. I just made that up. But he stands up for himself. He does not back down for anyone. And we identify with that. We're like, hey, you know, this guy should be the one cowering in the corner, not Luigi. But Toad's the one going up and getting himself into problems. And we're like, yeah, go you know, stand up for yourself. But I want to talk really fast about Peach, one of my favorite characters. Who said these better? That's because she's a lesbian. Princess Peach is one of the first identifiable female icons. Now I hear everyone's brains going, oh my god, gender stereotypes. Calm down, I have a point. Yes, she's a damsel in distress, okay? We've got to save her over and over and over and over and over. And that reinforces the gender binary. I'm sorry, it happens, but she has evolved, and that's the reason I want to bring her up. Because she was not an icon right away, she was an object, okay? She has evolved from object to icon as she has herself gained some powers. Who remembers Super Mario 2? She can do something that none of the boys can. She can float. So while everyone else is throwing themselves into chasms, she's just hovering right over going, She's got that ability to float. Yes, she's not the fastest. Yes, she's not the strongest, but she contributes, okay? And finally, girl gamers were like, oh my god, I am not just a princess in the tower, okay? Ha, evolution. Then we've got Super Mario RPG, where she beats the hell out of people with a frying pan. But she also has very useful healing powers. Again, we got someone that girls can look to and go, oh, okay. Oh, that's something different. I should look at that, right? We've got the Mario Kart series, where she has one of the fastest accelerations, so she can get wild on the track as well. And we have Super Paper Mario, where she was incredibly useful as well. Again, with the floatability, with the umbrella, and with her healing powers. And then, of course, you got the Smash Brothers series, where she beats the hell out of her boyfriend, which is not good. But it is, unless if you're playing Mario and not your parents, so that's good. She became just as tough as all of these other characters, okay? She took her place, basically, when she came into the Melee, I believe was the first one that she showed up in. She took her place as rightful among all the boys, okay? So that is proof that the gaming industry can finally effing get it together, okay? They can finally put things up on that platform where, yes, there's still times when the executives will say, oh, we can't have a gay female, or we can't have a female character. Yeah, we can. We have one. We have several, okay? We have people who are just as tough as boys. We have people who are out there, just like Joanna Dark, okay? If you haven't even played Perfect Dark, she's fantastic. And that all boils down to Peach, okay? Or it started with Peach, I should say. So, let's see, what else about Peach is there? Let's do. Oh, maybe it's time for a dance break. A very quiet dance break. A very, very quiet dance break. Where's your music? There it is. I'm just going to go through this really fast because I have one that I really want to talk about. Zelda comes in many incarnations. She was the next female gaming icon. Again, she started as a damsel in distress, but right about Link to the Past, she started kicking ass and taking names, okay? She used magic, she used telepathy, okay? So she was able to aid in her own process. She was not just some damsel waiting to be saved. She was busy saving herself. Link came along at the right time and helped out. But she was busy trying to do her own thing. Later on, such as in Twilight Princess, we see that she's got mad skills at this point, okay? She can start wielding a sword, she can start doing archery. She is not just some damsel in distress. She is the head of Hyrule, okay? That's a big effing deal. So, there's that. And she also is not afraid to break the gender binary, dressing up as she. You know, she has no problems. She's doing that. And Tetra didn't even want to be a princess. She wanted to be a pirate. She wanted that life of adventure. So again, another female icon that people can go to and look at and say, oh, I'm kind of like that too. So the whole reason I bring all these characters up is to talk about this game. No, it's not. That was a terrible game. The whole thing is, when we start talking about these icons, we talk about connectivity. We talk about imprinting. We talk about people we identify with. So what happens when you take one of those characters and make them gay? All of a sudden, everyone's like, holy shit, that's a gay character. All of the hard work we've done prepping this character to be one of the best they could be, to put out a really great story, instantly everyone goes, oh my god, that's so gay. That is the gayest thing I've ever seen. Well, no, actually, man on man or women on women sex is probably the gayest thing you've ever seen. But this is not. But that's the instinct that everyone has. All this creation you've done of this character instantly collapses into, that's gay. That's a gay character. And what we need to do is take a cue from, I would like to, oh no, I'm going to skip this slide. We're running out of time. It displays 3 problems with the whole gamer sphere. The gamer sphere, for some reason, is having a hard time getting past this. And when I say the gamer sphere, I not only mean developers, but I also mean the gamers themselves. How many times have you been playing online and someone goes, you're fat? All the time, right? Because people have no couth. But they have problems getting past this idea that, hey, gay people play video games too because we have no representation. So what happens in turn is game developers look at that and go, well, people don't want to buy games with gay characters, so I'm not going to make them. But actually we do, and they're just not out there. So what happens is we, in turn, push for a character to be LGBT, and the developers go and like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then we get things like this. Okay, you get Birdo, who's been retconned into a girl. You get Vampire's Bloodlines, where the lesbian in there turns out to be a horny little bitch, okay? And doesn't go anything past that. She hooks up with men and women, and nobody cares because she's kind of a trollop. We get people like the Crane character from GTA, who's a minor character. Great, we have representation for about, 2 minutes, okay? He's not as important. We do get really good indie games. Like, we get really good indie games. My boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, the Space Pirate, really fun game. How many people in this room have heard of it? In this room. How many people out there do you think have heard of it? Sorry. So, what we need to do is we need to trollop, well, not trollop, I don't want to use that word. We need to really kind of troll these developers. Like, give us a good character that has a good game. Like this person. We all recognize this as scenes from Metroid, right? With our hero, Samus Aran. We, in Metroid, when we started playing this in 1985, had just a cavern. Zeebs was a cavern and had aliens, that was it. The only identifiable human life was Samus Aran, okay? There's the bounty hunter herself. Any moment now. Thank you, computer. It's a brand new laptop, too. There we go. Samus Aran, okay? So while we're playing this, we have a little bit of muted background, but we're basically fighting off aliens, finding stuff, and fighting bigger aliens, okay? That's all we're doing in this game. But we're backtracking back and forth, we're going through, and the only support we have is Samus, okay? So boys and girls who play this game, you know, I was 2 in 1985. No, I wasn't. I was old. So we have people playing this game. There's Samus, allegedly. She's the only friendly life form. We connect with her. She's brave, she's powerful, all that good stuff. And then this happens. And then that happens some more. I did this myself. Yay, we won the game!
What? That was the reveal.
So you're telling me that this person we went on these adventures with, and we fought aliens, and we blew up Mother Brain and all that, that's that? Yes. And what we call that, or what I call it, is the Samus Aran factor. And I think that's what we need to have an important gay character. Because we might get the clue. We might see that they're gay, or lesbian, or transsexual, or whatever you might call it. Whatever the mighty acronym you use is, you know, we're playing along with that character. All of a sudden this person comes out as gay. Or actually, let's talk about Samus really fast. See, she comes out as a female, and the female character, or the female gamers go, hey, I have something I can really look up to now. Forget that Peach person, okay? I have someone who kicks ass. I have someone I can be. I have someone that I can look up to. Meanwhile, the guys are over here going, what? And they have two options. They can either accept that reality, or they can dismiss it, but then they're going to lose out on people like Chun-Li, like Lara Croft, and like Joanna Dark, okay? So they're going to have to bypass those games because they're girls, okay? So people have to come to that reality that girls can do what boys can. They also have to come to that reality that our people can do what they can, okay? So what happens is, we need to create these icons that are out there. We need to create these people that we identify with, that we connect with, that's like, hey, I can do whatever she can, I can do whatever he can, I identify with these people, I am the representation of those people, and all of a sudden just flip the switch and get a little bit of that. Because then they're going to have two options. Accept it as their reality, that we have an icon out there, that we have someone who represents us, that represents what we can do, or they can reject it and lose out on a lot of games. Once we get that icon that's out there, that will be our representation. That will be our voice. And that will put us back into the gaming race. Of course, provided that Doc Brown doesn't cheat. Thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, let me know. The most important point I want to make is that now it's on you guys, okay? Talk to developers, talk to people who play games, put it out there that we need representation, okay? Because if gamers don't do it, no one's gonna do it for us.